I want you to think about the last time you tried to control something that was not yours to control. Um, not like the crisis management, but like ordinary Monday morning version of it. The conversation you rehearsed in the shower because you needed it to go a certain way, or the plan you made for something that involved other people who did not know that they were even a part of your plan. The mood of your household that you were quietly managing before anyone else woke up, because if the morning went sideways, it would throw the whole day, and you could not afford that today. Or maybe the outcome of the thing you launched that you kept checking, refreshing, adjusting, tweaking, responding to, and not because there was anything productive left to do, but because doing something felt better than the unbearable vulnerability of waiting for a result that you could not determine. You, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You do it every day, and so does everyone you know. And most people have never stopped to ask whether it's actually working, whether the exhausting, all consuming, every available watt of cognitive energy project of managing outcomes that are not fully in your hands is producing the life it is promising to produce, whether the control is actually keeping the thing safe or whether it is just keeping you busy while the thing you are trying to protect quietly suffocates from the grip. Here's what I know to be true: the tighter you hold something, the less you can actually feel it. And the more energy you spend trying to control the outcome, the less energy you have for the work that actually produces good outcomes. And that bone deep exhaustion that you're carrying right now, the kind that you guys know, sleep doesn't fix it. The kind of exhaustion that has a weight and a location specific to your body, and the kind that's been there so long that you've forgotten it is not just what adult life feels like. That exhaustion, you guys, is not from the work, it's from the grip. And today, we're going to talk about what it would feel like to open your hand. Welcome to the Listen Bitch podcast. I am Brandon Lynette, Voice Authority Podcast Coach. Your mess is your message. And today, I want to start with a confession that will make some of you feel so seen that you probably get a little uncomfortable in your britches. I am a recovering control enthusiast, not even a former control freak, recovering, present tense, like daily work. The kind of person who, in the absence of any actual emergency, will create the conditions for one just so they have something to manage. Someone who plans things that do not need to be planned, who runs contingency scenarios for outcomes that have approximately a 3% chance of happening. Um, you guys, I feel like my control is so bad that it has left a toxic cloud even over my kids because I freak out and I try to control situations. Literally, my 23, almost 24-year-old just got hit by a car the other day. I know that sounds super dramatic. And yeah, if she would have called me when it happened, I would have probably freaked out. But also, I'm growing and I'm learning. So I should have been given the chance. But she hid it from me. Um, didn't end up in the hospital. She's running, and a lady ran a stop sign, knocked her down, and she got a ride back to her apartment and never went to the doctor, didn't tell a soul, and literally, like, threatened her siblings not to tell me. In fact, when she didn't comply with them, their threat was, I'm going to tell mom you got hit by a car. Okay. That's the kind of control freak I'm talking about, because she knew I would freak out and panic and probably make her go to the hospital and do a bunch of things and make a big deal out of it when she knew herself in that moment. And praise God, she is okay. But I am that person, you guys. I just trying to control the things like um random, organization, or like straightening couch pillows specific to how I want them all the time. It's just that feeling of that thing, that one thing in order was like the closest available substitute for the feeling of my actual life being in order. And more than the things around me, it's that control of my family, of my loved ones. Um, because at that point it was very obvious, like my life was out of control um in that particular moment. And doing the things, having some sort of obsessive control over something as stupid as like couch pillows, that's the only thing that was available that would corroborate. um and you guys can laugh at that because, yeah, it's stupid. Like, they're just couch pillows. And most of the time, I'm fine because, you guys, I still have 4 kids that live at home. And my husband, on top of that, who could give a shit less about the couch pillows, right? So I mean, my couch pillows are a disaster right now. In fact, they have been for a while. As a matter, on top of that, I change decorations every 4 months, or is it 3 months? Every 3 months, 4 times a year, I change them. Hello. And that's pretty much the last time I see my couch pillows look really neat. Okay. So I have been really good about not controlling situations. Or a very toxic thing was trying to control my family's perspectives. I thought I was the fixer. I thought I could protect my kids, um, or just trying to protect everybody from everything. And it was a very, very toxic era for my life. But if you're one of those control freaks, like maybe you're organizing the pantry at midnight because that pantry is what gives you that sense of control. Your life's out of control. Everyone's like, it doesn't even need organized. You do it anyway. Um, we're your people. You're in good company here. We are, this it's just a part of life. I get that. It's a beautiful distraction. In fact, I literally just had an interview today where the person, I'm my guest of the show, is talking about how, do the next right thing, like if it needs it, right? That's the thing we can control. The next right thing. And sometimes that is organize your sock drawer, right? That's the thing we have control over. But it's also about being radically honest with yourself. You guys, today's episode is absolutely, of course, and dang it, I just put it on too, and I was going to put it on with you guys. It's just a habit. When I'm going to record, I put the patch on. But I want to talk about the peace patch, because the nervous system that has been running a control operation for years does not know how to be still. Okay. It's been in management mode for so long that that stillness just really feels like danger. Um, I'm going through the things that I've done that have really helped me the past few months, because I'm losing weight, I'm transforming my body. I started with my nervous system. I when I really uh what is took stock, um wrote down, why can I not think of words today? When I really looked at everything I've been doing to try to see kind of what's moving the needle, because it's moving, or the scale's moving. And it's not just the scale, like inside out, I just feel amazing. And so the everyday things I do, I take this oil, I take a balance oil. I've talked to you guys a lot about that. I still take it. I love it. I'm obsessed. That's the reason my cells are letting go of fat for the first time in my whole life. Okay. Um, but the nervous system is where I started, and a constant for me are these patches. I don't know that I would have done it without them. I have a sleep patch, the peace patch that I use for my nervous system, because this is what happens. Um, I always felt like something's going to go wrong the minute I stop watching for it, right? Like I can never relax. I was poisoning myself with cortisol. So peace is what I've been putting on when my nervous system needs a reminder that not everything requires management, and also just to stay in that present moment. Okay, it's taught my body, or allowed me to retrain my brain, the neuroplasticity. It gave me that chance to rewire my brain so I could tell myself, like, it's safe to exhale, that the outcome I'm gripping so hard is not more likely to go well because I'm exhausted about it. If you guys have listened to previous shows, I kind of went through it with my older kids. And part of that is like I was holding on so tight. Okay. They're growing up, they're moving on their own, they're discovering themselves. And I freaked the freak out. I freaked out. I pushed them away. And once I let go of that grip, I have them back, right? That's how it goes. But this peace patch really helped me heal all of that. Okay. And it is drug free. It's no ingredients. It's vibrotactile technology that tells your nervous system through your skin that you can settle down. Um, There's no fire. There's not a bear attacking you. You're allowed to be here without managing here. I keep the link in the show notes. Okay. So, control, the thing that is quietly running your entire life, and you're just calling it responsibility. I'll tell you what is actually happening in your brain when you're trying to control something, and that's going to be your prefrontal cortex. It's the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision making, the regulation of behavior. The prefrontal cortex loves control. It is designed for it. Its job is to take the chaotic, unpredictable, full of variables world and impose just enough order on it that you could function. That is good and a necessary thing. The problem the problem starts when the prefrontal cortex gets drafted into managing shit that is outside of its actual jurisdiction, like other people's thoughts or feelings or decisions and outcomes, and it does not know how to stop. When you try to control an uncertain outcome, the brain activates the stress response. That cortisol rises. The threat detection system, you guys probably remember me talking about this before. It's the amygdala, that part that exists specifically to keep you alive in dangerous situations. It starts scanning, not for actual threats necessarily, but for that gap between the desired outcome and the current state of affairs. Any gap any gap registers as potential danger, and the cortisol just keeps rising and the brain keeps scanning, and the scanning starts producing this cognitive narrowing that chronic stress produces. And so that is taking away your inability to think creatively. It makes it impossible for you to see the big picture or to even access that perspective that would actually help you navigate the uncertain outcome well. Is like you're blinded. You end up with this spectacular self defeating loop. You are stressed about the uncertain outcome, so you try to control it and you activate the stress response even more, which narrows your thinking, which makes you feel less effective at producing the outcome you wanted. And here's the loop. Then it's going to increase the stress, which increases the control attempts. Around and around and around and around and around we go until the thing you were trying to protect has been gripped into a shape it was never supposed to take. And the fun part about this, okay, because there's a lot of neuroscience behind this, and the neuroscience of certainty, it shows that the brain's stress response is not primarily activated by bad outcomes. It's primarily activated by uncertain ones. The brain would rather have a known bad outcome than an unknown good one. This is part of my toxic personality where my kids are starting to move and grow out on their own, and I end up pushing them away because I can control that. I can control if I become someone that is intolerable and I know our relationship's bad and I cause pain. I've done this my whole life. Like it's like break up with the person before they break up with you, because not knowing is the biggest threat to me. And if I could control that narrative, then it makes sense to me. Well, they left because we don't, because this and this happened. Yes, I've grown through that. Unknown is my biggest threat, which means the control is not really about the outcome, right? It's always been about uncertainty. You are trying to eliminate the feeling of not knowing, and the feeling of not knowing is not actually a threat. It's just a feeling. And when your kids move out, there is this incredible deepness of not knowing. Okay. um and I went into full scale management operation to avoid it. But thank you, Jesus, and this is biblical. Neuroplasticity here is everything. The brain that has been trained through the years of practice to respond to uncertainty with control, it's built a deeply grooved pathway for that response. The uncertainty fires, the control response activates, and it's automatic. There's no decision that has to be made. The grip tightens before you even notice it's tightened. And the only way to interrupt that is to build a competing pathway, the pathway that responds to uncertainty with presence rather than management. The pathway that with trust, rather than grip, with the ability to stay in the knowing without immediately trying to resolve by force. And I'm going to say your favorite word because this pathway is built through practice. The reps, through that deliberate repeat, 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 deeply uncomfortable practice of noticing the control response and choosing something different. Every time you feel the uncertainty and resist the urge to immediately manage it, every single time, you're building the new neural infrastructure for a life that does not require the grip. That is the work. And it is available to you right now in every uncertain moment of your actual day. It's like you with the pantry, okay? Let's elaborate on the pantry because I want you to see the full pattern. The pantry reorganization at 11 p.m. for you is not about the pantry. The pantry has been fine for months. Nothing in the pantry needed reorganizing at any point in the recent past, and nothing in the pantry will require reorganization at any point in the future. The pantry is completely neutral in the situation. And I'm saying pantry, I fill in the blank for whatever it is for you. The pantry is just an available object. What is happening is this: somewhere in the day, probably multiple somewheres, something did not go the way it needed to go. The outcome you worked toward did not land. The conversation you managed carefully went sideways anyway. And the thing you were trying to keep together started coming apart in a direction you could not redirect. And the feeling that produced, physically uncomfortable feeling of something being out of your control, did not get resolved. It went somewhere in the body, maybe in your chest, maybe in your shoulders, maybe in the low grade hum of a nervous system that is still running the management algorithm on a situation that is long gone. And by 11 p.m., that feeling needs somewhere to go. It needs something to control, not because the control is going to resolve the original situation. It's not. Because that feeling of being in order, of imposing structure on something, anything that will cooperate with the effort, it provides a temporary regulation that the nervous system is desperate for. The pantry cooperates. The cans go in order, the labels face forward, the nervous system exhales briefly, incompletely, and you go to bed slightly more settled than you were before, but fundamentally no closer to dealing with the actual thing that needed your attention. And I know this loop. Because I have been in it. The pantry is just an example. And maybe yours is different. The email inbox you organize at midnight, the to-do list you rewrite for the fifth time because rewriting it feels like progress. Um, the house you clean when the relationship needs the attention. Or maybe it's the work you optimize when the fear needs addressing, the social media metrics you check when the calling needs answering. All of this is a control response running toward the available object instead of the actual source. And the real question is, what is the actual source? What is the thing you're actually afraid of losing control over? Bitch, we know it's not the pantry. Is it the relationship? Is it the business? Is it the outcome of the thing you launched? The trajectory of your kids, the version of your future that you've been holding on in your head so tightly that any deviation from it feels like a fucking catastrophe. What is the thing? Because until you name it, the pantry is going to keep getting reorganized and you're going to keep calling it staying on top of things when what it actually is avoidance, pretending to be productivity. Name the thing. That's a first step, and everything else is going to follow from that. You did not arrive at this control response on your own. You were trained into it. Also, I feel like I need to start recording the podcast with some sunglasses. Ooh, I do have a pack of patches here. I just saw it, you guys. These are my favorite too. Zen for the win. Anyway, I need sunglasses. This Lumi light, for some reason, today is extra, and my eyes are going crazy between the Lumi light and the fan. I am blinded by the light. Would it be weird if I just talk down like this to you guys while I record the video? I don't even know how I would get feedback on that. I just do the whole episode, and if nobody watches it, that's where we're at. I think I have one person who watches my YouTube videos anyway, but you guys, okay. Um, anyway, you were trained into this by systems that needed you controllable. and by experiences that taught you the alternative was worse. The school system trained you early. Sit still, follow the schedule, do the assignment in the format specified, arrive at the answer by the method demonstrated. Do not deviate, do not question, do not bring the creative left turn that would have been more interesting than the approved boring route, because deviation was penalized and compliance was rewarded, and your nervous system learned this. At ages when it was making foundational decisions about how to navigate the world, it's learned that controlling your own output to match the expected format was the way to stay safe. Stay safe, keep your head down, be seen, not heard. The corporate structure absolutely continue the training. The performance review, the KPIs, the quarterly goals that require reality to conform to a spreadsheet that was built 6 months ago when nobody knew what the next 6 months would actually require. Or the meeting that could have been an email. That comes up a lot. The process that existed to document the process was being followed. All of it training the brain that control over the work, over the output, over the appearance of the results was the mechanism of survival. And then, so you've already got that. Let's take your personal history. Let's take your personal, those moments, and you know the ones where you let go and something fell, where you trusted and probably got burned, where you stopped managing for a moment and the thing you stopped managing went wrong in a way that cost you something real, and your nervous system, which is extraordinarily good at learning from pain, filed it. The lesson, if you had been paying closer attention, if you had held a little tighter, if you had not let your guard down, the thing would have been okay. That lesson is probably not accurate. Most losses are not preventable by more vigilance. Most betrayals are not detectable in advance by someone who's managing hard enough. Most outcomes that did not go the way you needed them to go were not in your control, regardless of how tight you held them. But the nervous system did not do a root cause analysis. It did what nervous systems do, and it responded to pain with a policy. And the policy is you've got to grip harder. And when it comes to like the pharmaceutical industry in the context of control, um, the anxiety epidemic in this country, you guys, is not primarily a chemical imbalance problem. It is a control problem. um, Population trained from childhood to manage outcomes, performing in systems designed to reward control and penalize uncertainty, consuming media that generates constant threat signals to keep engagement high. That population's nervous system runs a chronic elevated control response. Cortisol, elevated, amygdala, activate. The grip never releases. And when the grip produces the anxiety that permanently activated stress response produces, Big Pharma is waiting with the product that will manage the symptom of the problem the system created. Again, please get my patches, you guys. I'm telling you, F Big Pharma. They're not treating your anxiety, you big dum dum. They're treating the downstream cost of a control loop that was installed by every institution you pass through. And the institution was not accidental. A controlled population is a predictable one. A predictable population is a manageable one. And a manageable population does not ask the questions that inconvenient answers come from. Let go of the grip. That is the most genuinely rebellious thing you could do right now. In that day to day, the everyday, one certain moment at a time kind of way, that's going to build that new neural pathway for a life that does not require management. Aren't you fucking tired of being tired? And yes, the season when my control response, it almost cost me the thing I was most trying to protect. It's not the business, it's the relationship. And I would say, like, my husband is definitely one of the most patient people I know. Patient in the way that people are patient when they love someone whose nervous system runs faster than the average. And they've learned over time to give that nervous system room to do what it does while staying grounded themselves. He has always kept me on this planet Earth, literally, figuratively. He's very good at this. I have been at various points not the easiest person to give room to. And the thing I was controlling without fully knowing, you guys, I didn't have the understanding or the ability to name it. It was the outcome of even just our relationship, right? With my relationship with my kids, with my husband. And it wasn't conscious and it wasn't calculated, but it's just in the way that someone who's been hurt before builds this invisible management system around the thing they're most afraid of losing, right? It for me, it was just a very subtle, relentless management of how things are going between my husband and between my kids. um Specifically him just reading his tone for signals, interpreting his silences. I would constantly adjust my behavior in response to interpretations that were not necessarily accurate, preemptively managing potential conflict or steering conversations away from territory that felt risky, keeping things smooth, keeping them controlled. I did this between my husband and my kids. In all of this experience, I just wanted to keep the outcome I wanted to protect safe from variables I was afraid would threaten it. Okay. And the very ironic human cost of that management was not only my cortisol poisoning suicide mission, because that's I was killing myself. Cortisol rots your body. I had this incredible hip pain for such a long time, and no doctor could make sense of it. Like it just it didn't make sense to me. Um, so I'm not protecting any of my relationships in my life at this point. I am preventing them, because a relationship that is managed is not a relationship, right? You're just kind of performing. I'm not being myself. When even at the beginning of my marriage, I'm like, that's it, I have to be completely me. There's no not That's a non-negotiable. And I fell back into an old pattern. You cannot be genuinely intimate with a person you are quietly performing for. You can't be fully known by someone you're carefully managing. And the thing I'm most afraid of losing, the real thing, that genuine connection, was being eroded by the very behavior I was using to protect it. Same thing with my kids. Same thing with my kids, you know? Um, and I don't know if either of us, if any of us ever really knew until I said it out loud, but there was no real conflict with the issue. It was just coming to that point of like, I'm trying to manage everything and manage people and try to manage, move my way around maybe like my husband's moods. I thought I had to control everything around it. If he was in a bad mood, I got to protect everybody. And I mean, it was draining on my energy. And, another time for another show, just being able to understand that it is not, his moods are not up to me. My kids' moods are not up to me. How they choose to see perspectives, not up to me. All of that, not up to me. Their happiness, not up to me. None of that was up to me. And once I let go of all of that, as I was healing my nervous system, I have a new freedom now. Everybody gets to just be in the space. But I was never really in that present moment where I could just be with my family. And I knew that everyone was starting to tell the difference. And when it came out verbally, that's the truth. I just need to be me and be able to be with other people and let them be them. And I would say it wasn't painful, but it hurt. I don't even know. It wasn't painful, but it hurt. Okay. Um, Things rearranged in my brain, and the knowing required something of me that the managing had been protecting from me. And there is that new vulnerability of being fully present with just another human without the management layer, without the contingency plan, without the quiet surveillance of how things were going. Like, can I just be here with my family without the grip? And that is harder than it sounds for a nervous system that has been in management mode for my whole life, you guys. My whole life. The presence without management feels initially like I am completely exposed. Like there's nothing between me and the outcome except the outcome. And my brain has been trained to treat uncertainty as the threat since I was little, right? That is so fucking uncomfortable. But the discomfort of presence is acute and it is temporary. It hasn't killed me yet. And the cost of management, that intimacy eroded, the genuine connection is prevented. The person you love experiencing the managed version of you instead of the real one, that cost is chronic and it compounds. You guys, I'm still working on this. Obviously, if my kid can get hit by a car and not tell me about it because she's afraid, I'm going to try to freak out and manage her life. Um, yeah, I have a lot of room to grow, but the direction is clear, you know, and the fact that I feel them coming back in a way that I hadn't felt before. It is I definitely know I'm on track, right? Because kids need that. They need that security. My husband needs me to be secure in who I am, because if I am going to go off the rails and do the things and expect him to be my rock, he needs to know I know who the fuck I am, and that I show up as that person, knowing I don't have to control and manage everyone around me. The direction is clear. There is a very unmistakable difference between being present with my family and managing them. And I feel that in my body now. And every time I choose the presence over the management, the pathway, you guys, it gets that little rep, right? The grip loosens. My nervous system gets the new data. Now I'm not in fight or flight every time he's in a bad mood. I'm like, fuck it. He gets to choose the perspective, right? I can't force it on him. I can't force him to do the things that I know would make him feel better. Like, he has his own life experience. I love him for who he is today. That's my job. Love myself even more, right? Because I can't love a person if I'm not loving myself. Keep my nervous system stable, because that's why my kids feel safe coming to me again. If my nervous system is stable, they know that I'm not going off the rails and trying to hang on to them the way I've always been their parent. Parent relationships have to change. I get that, right? Their relationship gets more of the real thing and no more bullshit performance. And I'm no one special, you guys. I had to go through this. I'm currently in it. I just want to show you that it's available to you in every single relationship you're currently managing instead of inhabiting. I started working with someone recently. She reached out about probably it's been about 2 months now. Her control response had built a business she hated. Okay. I see this. It's not a bad business. It's successful. She has real clients, incredible results, real revenue, but she's miserable inside of it. And it's not because the work is wrong, but because she built the whole thing around her ability to control every variable. She was the bottleneck for every decision. Nothing moved without her. She had systematically removed every element of uncertainty from the operation, which meant she had systematically removed every other person's ability to contribute to it in a meaningful way. And I saw her pain. I saw her pain of what it is to be passionate about something and want to have that solid control in only the way you can. They're not going to do it the right way. I have to do it myself. She hires a team, and the team she had hired had learned that their input was welcome in theory, but it would be overridden in practice every single time. So what does the team do? They stop offering. And so she's running a one person operation with the overhead of a team and wondering why she felt so alone in in the business she built. And she came to me because she wanted to launch a podcast, and she had the message, the experience. She had genuinely one of the most, it's a voice. Listen to me. I have, how many do I do? I'd say I do up to 20 to 30 interviews for my show a week. And when I hear a voice that needs a show, I can't sit on it. And uh, the world needs her voice. Okay. I was like, you have to have your own show. She'd been planning the launch for the show for 14 months. When I came in the picture, 14 months of developing the framework, designing the brand, building the content library, optimizing structure, creating the systems, all of this done. Shit that I don't even have done, y'all. Okay. I don't fucking have it together like she had it together. She did all this before releasing a single episode because the podcast needed to be ready. It needed to be right. Every variable needed to be managed before it went into the world where variables could not be managed. So I asked her, what she was afraid would happen if she launched before it was perfect. So she thinks about it, and we're quiet for several minutes, and she says, "I'm afraid that if I put it out and it's not perfect, people will see that I do not have my shit together." Okay, right? And I know you guys are laughing because they're like, she said that to you because y'all know I don't care how long I'm doing this. I will never pretend to have my shit together. Never gonna put that on because I can't. That's too much fakeness for me. That act, I am not the lead character in pretending. I cannot do that. But there it is, and it's not a perfectionism problem, right? It's a control problem. The podcast was being withheld from the people who needed it because releasing it meant releasing the outcome. It meant that the audience got to decide what it was, that the algorithm gets to decide who sees it. The response got to be whatever the response was going to be, unmanaged, unpredictable, out of her hands. And her nervous system, which had been running the control operation for years, was treating that uncertainty as an existential threat. Um, she's launched now, okay, after that conversation, not with the perfect 14-month prepared version, but the real shit, okay? Um, and the one that had her actual voice and her actual story, right? You can hear the humanity and the quality that the 14th month prepared version could have never represented. And the response, that unpredictable, out of her hands response, was the thing that 14 months of preparation could not have produced, because the people who needed to hear her did not need the perfect version. They needed the real one. And the real one was only available when she stopped managing it. Your perfect version is not what they need. That curated bullshit, we're all over it. Okay. The Instagram filters, over it. Your real version is what people need. And your real version is only available when you release the grip. And that grip lives in your body, and it's got its own specific little zip code or area code, whatever you call it. Maybe it's you've got shoulders that just don't drop. Maybe your jaw is always slightly tighter than relaxed, or maybe your chest does not fully expand on an exhale because something is being held against the expansion. Or ooh, you got some tummy troubles. Maybe your stomach has been in a low grade not so long that you've started thinking that is just what your stomach does. These are not stress symptoms. These are physical locations of the control response running continuously in a body that has not been told it's allowed to stop. Guess who doesn't have hip pain anymore? Like, I can't even tell you the last time that it bothered me. And I mean, it would wake me up at night. I had to stop working out for a long time. Doctors, I thought I needed rehab, surgery. I was like, I need a hip replacement. I didn't. It was like this crazy thing that just disappeared one day. But in the work, it's going to show up as the bottleneck, right? Are you the bottleneck in your own business? Or maybe your own creative process or your own calling? And it's, you guys, it's not because you lack the talent. It's because you cannot release the outcome to the thing that would actually help you produce it. You cannot release the audience to God and to the work and to the specific out of your hands process of genuine connection. You cannot release the timeline to the reality that good things take time. They take. You cannot release the result to the truth that your job is the obedience, the showing up, the making the thing, the saying the true thing, and the outcome is not yours to manage. The business you're building is either being built by your work or being strangled by your grip. And only one of those produces something that's going to last. The work is going to build, the grip is going to strangle. And at some point, you have to decide which one is running the operation. If your brain is like mine and it's wired super intense, if you're running the uncertainty response at a high amplitude that feels the threat of the unknown very, very viscerally, that cannot hold not knowing without significant physiological activation. The control response is not a mild inconvenience. It is the dominant experience of being alive. Guys, the world is loud and uncertain and constantly producing gaps between what is and what should be. And then your brain is running the management algorithm on all of it simultaneously without ever pausing. That is so fucking exhausting. And it's not because your brain is broken, but it's because it's running a program it was not designed to run at this scale, at this intensity for this long. And the relief, the physical, like, tears in your eyes relief of truly releasing something you've been gripping is absolutely available. It requires the one thing the control response protects you from: presence in the uncertainty. Staying in the not knowing long enough for the not knowing to stop feeling like a threat and start feeling like just a feeling. And a feeling is just a feeling, it's just information. It does not require a management response. It requires presence. And presence is what produces the clarity that the management was promising to produce, but it never actually could. If you're in the middle of this and you feel that specific place in your body where the grip lives, is it your shoulders? Like, unclench your jaw, babe. Is it your chest? Share this out with one person in your life who is gripping something right now, the one who's holding on so hard they can't feel what they're holding. They need this. And make sure you subscribe. Do that really fast and come back here. Control is not protecting you from the bad outcome. Okay. Control is not protecting you from the bad outcome. Control is protecting you from the feeling of not knowing whether the bad outcome is coming. And it's so funny today. I had this incredible interview with this young lady. Um, and we're done recording, and she's like, I just, I mentioned a few times because we're talking about doing the unsexy work and the things we wouldn't want to do, and I went into holding an interview show kicking and screaming. Okay, God says you're going to have an interview show. I say, yeah, right. He says, no, I'm serious. And I'm like, haha, you're funny. No, do it. And I'm like, wait, you're serious. Do the show. So I talk about this back and forth, and I said never. So I would never do an interview show, not a full-time interview show. No way, never. So I brought it up a few times, and she's like, I just have this feeling um, that you need to know your feelings don't matter. And I literally laughed out loud. And I'm like, oh, if I could show you my journal right now, it says, fuck your feelings. Because this is true. I have to remind myself every single day, um, fuck your feelings. They're just information. Okay. They That's it. It's just information. Fuck your feelings. Do the thing anyway. You guys, control is protecting you from a feeling of not knowing whether the bad outcome is coming. Those are completely different things. And the fact that most people have been confusing them for their entire adult lives is the very reason the grip never relaxes, even when it's clearly not helping. Fuck your feelings. The bad outcome, oh, the relationship ending, the business failing, the launch lands flat, the investment losing value, the health diagnosis arriving anyway. None of those things are more likely to happen because you stop managing them. Okay. There's not some magic wand in the entire existence grading you on vigilance. Bad things happen to people who were paying very close attention, and they happen to people who were not paying attention at all. And the correlation between the grip and the outcome is much weaker than the nervous system believes it to be. What the grip does, the only thing the grip actually does, is manage the feeling, the anxiety of the uncertainty, the discomfort of not knowing. It manages that feeling, and it's doing a poor fucking job. And it's very temporary. And it's at an enormous cost to your body, to your relationships, to your creative capacity, and your access to joy that's available to you in the present moment. But it gets completely foreclosed by a nervous system running on maximum vigilance. Imagine, imagine you're on a plane, and the plane is being flown by two pilots who have thousands of hours of combined experience in this aircraft, like this actual plane and this exact route, and they've been in these conditions so many times. The plane is maintained to the highest safety standards. The probability of something going wrong is so low it barely registers as a statistical possibility. You, let's say you're in seat 24B, You're gripping the armrest, okay? Not because your grip is contributing to the flight. The pilots do not need you. The aircraft does not require your participation to stay in the air. Do you understand? Your grip is not doing anything to the outcome. It is doing everything to your experience of the flight. You are spending a 3-hour journey in the posture of maximum vigilance over a process that does not require your vigilance. And when you land, and I'm laughing because so many people struggle with flying, and this is the shit that happens. When you land, having contributed nothing to the outcome, having experienced nothing of the journey, you will be exhausted. This is why bitches are tired after you travel. And you're not tired from the travel, you're tired from the grip. Bitch, that is your life. The plane is in the air. It does not need you on the controls. And the grip you've been maintaining for years over the people, over the outcomes, over the timeline, the results, it is not helping the flight. It is costing you the journey. Open your fucking hands. Okay? Jesus said, consider the lilies. He did not say consider the lilies and then build a comprehensive contingency plan for inclement weather and drought and agricultural risk for your growing region. If he did say that, show me, because I've read the Bible a couple times. It's not in there. He said consider them. Look at them. They do not toil. They do not spin. They do not run a management operation. They grow because that is what they were made to do. And Solomon, in all his glory, with all the management and the resources and the systems and the control that human health, wealth, all of it could purchase, it was not dressed as one of them. Honey, the lily does not control its growth. It just grows toward what it was made for without the grip. And you're not a lily. I am not suggesting you stop making decisions and wait for divine agriculture. But the thing that Jesus was pointing at is real. Completely underutilized piece that comes from doing the work and releasing the outcome. That's real. Peace from showing up fully and trusting that the showing up is the part that is yours. From tending the garden and not being in charge of the rain. The rain is not your job. Other people's feelings are not your responsibility. Can you please just show up and do the work and tend the garden and open your hands? Today, after this episode, identify the one thing you're gripping the hardest right now. The one outcome you're managing most aggressively. I want you to write it down, and next to it, write the honest answer to this question. What specifically am I afraid happens if I stop managing this? Or even, what is the worst thing that could happen if I stop managing this? No fucking vague answer, okay? Like, write down something very specific. What is it? Does the relationship end? Does the business fail? The person I love makes a choice I cannot reverse? The outcome I need doesn't happen? Get specific, because the grip is protecting you from a specific fear, and you cannot release the grip without naming what it is you're afraid of dropping. And I want you to work on the neuroplasticity of this. Practice the 1 degree of release. Not a full release, 1 degree. Find the smallest version of letting go available to you right now. The email you would normally send to follow up on something you already sent. Don't send it. The outcome you would normally check by refreshing the metrics. Do not refresh. The conversation you would normally steer. Let it go where it goes. 1 small release. Stay in the discomfort of the not managing for 5 minutes. Notice the thing you stopped managing did not immediately catch fire. Lock it in the vault. Give your brain that data. That is a rep. That is pathway building. And for those of you whose control response runs at full volume, whose grip has a grip, okay, I know you're like me. I love you. So do this. Build what I call a release ritual. Specific physical daily practice of opening the hands. Not metaphorically, literally. I tell you guys, I joke about this a lot, how I wake up in the morning and I hand God everything I can't handle, right? Like I mean, it was really heavy when I was in that management where I'm giving him my kids, I'm giving him my husband, I'm giving him everything. I'm like, physically I'm like, God, take this. And my eyes are closed and I'm just like pretending I'm putting it in his lap because I can't carry it. And that physical act did everything for me. But I want you every morning before anything else to sit for 5 minutes with your hands open. Okay. Maybe you're not ready to give it to God. I just want you to do this, palms up. That physical posture of receiving rather than gripping. Open your hands. Let go. Let the brain read the body's signal. That physical act is everything. Let the body posture communicate to the nervous system. Today, we are going to try the open hand. And you will notice a weight coming off of you. You will notice everything that comes towards you that you try to close the hand around. Not to stop closing it all in one go. I just want you to notice because awareness is your first rep. Every subsequent rep will build on that. There's a another woman who just reached out to me recently. Actually, she was one of my guests in the first week of my show. She'd been in the grip for so long, she thought it was just her personality. And she's brilliant, the kind of person who could see 12 months ahead in any situation. She built this extraordinary capacity for anticipating problems and addressing them before they arrived. She built a life around that capacity that looked from the outside like extraordinary competence. She was the person everyone called when things needed to be managed. And you know who answered the phone every single time. She's the person whose presence in a room made the room feel safer. The person who had never, in the memory of anyone who ever knew her, let something fail. And again, she is another one of the most exhausted people I'd spoken to lately. And again, another podcast wanting to be built. I planted the seed. That's what I do. You guys, I plant the seed. And honestly, like there's so many people I meet that should have a show. And I will help you get started. I've never taken a dime from helping someone actually start their show. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. If you're like, oh, I really do want to do this, I don't know about my story. I will give you the quick rundown of exactly what I did. Anyway, so she has this message, right? And it's really about the cost uh, to be the one who never lets anything fall. Nothing fails on her watch. And she couldn't start the show. And it's not that she didn't know how, because starting meant releasing the outcome again. It's a podcast going into the world unmanaged is scary. It's almost like the publishing of a book. You just feel very open, very vulnerable. It is a scary feeling. So I absolutely related to this. But the audience is going to respond how they respond, and the algorithm is going to do what it does. The reception is going to be what it is. And the part of her that had been keeping everything in the air for years looked at that uncertainty and was like, nope, absolutely not. Um, and I stayed with her for quite some time, and at the end of the conversation, she said something um, that that was really. She said, "I think I've been so busy making sure that nothing fails that I forgot to ask whether I really want to be holding all of it." And so I let her sit with that. And one of the things that my mentor said to me, one of my mentors, when I was carrying a grip like that, she's like, "What's the thing you want to take off of your plate?" And that question changed everything for me. She didn't know what she actually wanted to be holding because she had been holding everything available for so long that her very own desires had gotten buried under the weight of the grip. And so the life she actually wanted with her podcast and the message and that way of being in the world that was just hers and not just the role that she had been performing, that life was underneath the management. And it was waiting. So she has since launched, and it's still building it. I'm helping with that. And the visible change in her in the weeks since the launch, like that, the loosening, you guys, the aliveness, the way she talks about the work now, that it is it's in the world and she cannot manage is reception. That change is the thing I cannot describe adequately. I don't have words. Like it is just a gift to get to see that. But she looks like a person who put something very heavy down and then is like suddenly shocked because her arms still work. That's you, babe. Like your arms still work too. You just have to put this stuff down long enough to find out. That weight that you're carrying, you know, the outcomes, the timelines, the people, the results, the version of the future you've been maintaining with everything you have, some of it is yours to hold. Some of it was never yours. And you've been holding all of it with the same grip because the grip does not distinguish between what is yours and what is not. Let someone help you figure out which is which. Let someone who knows the brain science and the faith and the specific practical mechanics of building something real in the world while holding it with an open hand. Let that person sit across from you and help you put down what is not yours to carry and pick up the thing that actually is. That is what I do specifically every single day. You have been white knuckling the calling long enough. The grip is not keeping it safe, it's keeping you exhausted. And the people who need what you're carrying cannot receive it from a closed fist. I am telling you today, open your hand and come work with me. You guys can find me in the show notes. I'll see you tomorrow.